The Human Dolls of Anatoly Moskvin. In 2011, a man named Anatoly Moskvin was found to have the bodies of 29 girls between the ages of 3 to 25 mummified in his apartment. But what even started it? Anatoly Moskvin was known as the ultimate expert on cemeteries in his city of Nizhny Novgorod, Russia. He attributes his obsession with the macabre to a 1979 incident when the historian was 13. One day, a group of men in black suits stopped Moskvin on the way home from school. They were headed to the funeral of 11-year-old Natasha Petrova and dragged young Anatoly along to her coffin, where they forced him to kiss the girl's corpse. Many guys would have already said no and leave, but Anatoly didn't. Anatoly kissed her for a long period of time. He said in a news article, "I kissed her once, then again, then again." The girl's grieving mother then put a wedding ring on Anatoly's finger and a wedding ring on her dead daughter's finger. "My strange marriage with Natasha Petrova was useful," Moskvin said in the article. Strange, indeed. He said it led to a belief in magic, and ultimately, a fascination with the dead. Whether the story is even true is beside the point by now, as his disturbing thoughts would go unchecked for more than 30 years. Anatoly Moskvin's interest in the corpse-kissing incident never left him, and he began to wander through cemeteries. His interest led to multiple newspapers talking about every cemetery he's been to, which was 702. But nobody even knew what was going on when he was wandering those cemeteries. In 2009, locals began to discover the graves of their loved ones, completely dug up. And for nearly 2 years, nobody was able to find who did this. Then, a break in the investigation came following a terrorist attack at Domodedovo Airport in Moscow in 2011. Shortly afterward, authorities heard reports of Muslim graves being desecrated in Nizhny Novgorod. Investigators were led to a cemetery where someone was painting over the pictures of dead Muslims, but not damaging anything else. This was where Anatoly Moskvin was finally caught. 8 police officers went to his apartment after they apprehended him at the graves of the Muslims to gather evidence. What they found there shocked the world. Inside, authorities found life-sized, doll-like figures throughout the apartment. The figures resembled antique dolls. They wore fine and varied clothing. Some wore knee-high boots. Others had makeup on, over faces Moskvin had covered in fabric. He had also hidden their hands in fabric. Except these were not dolls. They were the mummified corpses of human girls. When police moved one of the bodies, it played music, as if on cue. Inside the chests of many of the dolls, Moskvin had embedded music boxes. There were also photographs and plaques taken off of the gravestones, doll-making manuals, and maps of local cemeteries strewn about the apartment. Police even discovered that the clothes worn by the mummified corpses were the clothes in which they were buried. Investigators later found music boxes or toys inside the bodies of the dead girls, so that they could produce sounds when Moskvin touched them. There were also personal belongings and clothing inside some of the mummies. One mummy had a piece of her own gravestone, with her name scrawled on it inside her body. Another one contained a hospital tag with the date and the cause of the girl's death. A dried human heart was found inside a third body. Anatoly Moskvin admitted that he would stuff the decayed corpses with rags. Then he would wrap nylon tights around their faces, or fashion doll faces onto them. He would also insert buttons or toy eyes into the girls' eye sockets, so that they could watch cartoons with him. The historian said that he mostly loved his girls, though there were a few dolls in his garage that he claimed to have grown to dislike. He said he dug up graves of girls because he was lonely. He said he was single, and his biggest dream was to have children. Russian adoption agencies wouldn't let Moskvin adopt a child because he didn't make enough money. Perhaps that was for the best, judging by the condition of his pack-rat apartment and psychotic obsessions with dead people. Moskvin added that he had done what he did because he was waiting for science to find a way to bring the dead back to life. In the meantime, he used a simple solution of salt and baking soda to preserve the girls. He celebrated the birthdays of his dolls as if they were his own children. Anatoly Moskvin's parents claimed to know nothing of the true origin of Moskvin's dolls, even after living with him for 40 years. Elvira, Anatoly's mother, said, "We saw these dolls, but we did not suspect there were dead bodies inside. We thought it was his hobby to make such big dolls and did not see anything wrong with it." Moskvin was charged with 12 crimes, all of which dealt with the desecration of graves. The Russian media called him the Lord of the Mummies and the Perfumer. Anatoly Moskvin was diagnosed with schizophrenia and sentenced to time in a psychiatric ward following his sentencing. Though, as of September 2018, he was faced with the opportunity to continue psychiatric treatment in his home. The victims' families think otherwise. Natalia Chardimova, the mother of Moskvin's first victim, believes Moskvin should stay locked up for the rest of his life. Anatoly Moskvin allegedly told authorities not to bother reburying the girls too deeply, as he will simply unbury them when he is released. Hopefully, Anatoly doesn't get released anytime soon.